Hello everyone, this is part 30 of What If Naruto Came Back to Claim His Family's Name, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Alright, everyone listen up. We are simply going to draw numbers to see who is fighting whom, said Kankuro as the 12 victorious genin lined up before him. There will be 6 matches when we meet again a month from now. There are 2 brackets, one with 4 matches, the other with 2. Everyone who wins where first will have a second match. At the end of 2 rounds there will be 3 of you left. One of the 3 will go straight onto the finals while the other 2 will fight for the spot in the final. Now the ones who draw a number between 9 and 12 will be the ones who have a chance to have a bye round. Suddenly a puff of smoke appeared next to Kankuro. When the smoke cleared, it showed a box sitting on top of a small table. Now when I call your name, come forward and pull out a number from inside the box. We will go in the order that you had your match. So Reiji of the Ice, you are first. With that, Reiji walked forward and pulled out a small ball with the number on it, 6, said Reiji as his name appeared on the screen originally used to pick names. Alright, you will be in third match, said Kankuro. Kushina Namikaze, Leaf Village. Kushina walked up and pulled her number, 11. You are in the last match and have a chance to get the bye round, said Kankuro. Imi Nara, Leaf. Imi walked up and pulled her number, 5, Uncle Kankuro. Alright, we have our first match. Imi Nara of the Leaf Village vs. Reiji of the Ice Village. Sadoa, Sand Village, you're up, said Kankuro as a sand ninja with twin swords on his back walked up and pulled his number. 3. Alright, Saira, Sand Village, Sand Kankuro as a grey-haired female ninja walked up and pulled her number. 1. Said Saira. You will be in the first match. Isa, you're up, said Kankuro as another female sand ninja walked up and pulled her number. 7. Alright, you have a chance for a bye round as well. Now, said Kankuro as the second to last sand ninja walked up and pulled his number. Looks like I am fighting you, sister, said Now as he held the number 8. Our fourth match will be Isa vs. Now, both from the Sand Village, said Kankuro. Sakio. With that, the last of the Sand Ninja walked down and pulled his number, 10. Alright, Eiko of the Ice Village. You're next, said Kankuro as the white-haired female ninja walked out and pulled her number. 9. Said Eiko. Alright, we have our fifth match. Eiko Ice Village vs. Sakio Sand Village, said Kankuro. Chu Akamaiki, Leaf Village. Chu reached into the box, pulled out a number, and smiled, 12. Alright, you will be in the final match vs. Kushina Namikaze, said Kankuro as Chu smiled even more before looking at Kushina. Enjoy your last month on Earth, because when we fight, you are S, said Chu. You only won by underhanded tactics. You couldn't win a clean fight against a fly, snapped Fugaku. Like I care, Uchiha. I will deal with your girlfriend first, and then you, said Chu as Fugaku's black Sharingan blazed with hate. This isn't the time, said Kankuro. Now, Kib Inuzuka. Kib walked up and pulled out his number, 4. Alright then, Fugaku has number 2 because it's the last number, said Kankuro. Alright, our first match will be Saira, Sand Village, vs. Fugaku Uchiha, Leaf Village. After that, we have Sadao, Sand Village, vs. Kib Inuzuka, Leaf Village. The third match will be Imi Nara, Leaf Village, vs. Reiji, Ice Village. Then we have Isa, Sand Village, vs. Now, Sand Village. The last 2 matches will be the ones with a bye round if they win. Eiko, Ice Village, vs. Sakio, Sand Village, and our final first round match will be Kushina Namikaze, Leaf Village, vs. Chu Akamaiki, Leaf Village. Those are our matches. Now you will all return home to train and prepare yourself for the battles to come. I wish you luck. Now, everyone is free to go, however all the Leaf Ninjas must stay. Your Hokage has to speak with you. With that, the other ninjas, including Gaara, left the Leaf Ninjas standing there. Naruto stood up and walked down the stairs to stand across from his ninjas. First, I would like to congratulate you all on passing this part of the exams, however I am afraid I have bad news. Last night, Sunad, the fifth Hokage, in her sleep. Everyone lowered their heads when he said that. I am sorry but we can't rest, we must hurry home to attend her funeral. So gather your gear and meet me at the eastern gate in 30 minutes. With that everyone except Kushina, Fugaku, and Ino left to gather the gear. I hate to tell you this, but Haruaki shouldn't be moved across country with the injury he got, said Ino. I know, that is why he and Neji aren't coming with us. He will stay with his son until he is able to move safely. As for the others, I am sure the other Junin and I can make shadow clones to carry them if needed, said Naruto. Ino, I want you to make sure we have the medical supplies we need to move the wounded. Ino nodded, and she and Fugaku left leaving Naruto with his daughter. He smiled at his daughter. I know I already said this, but I am so proud of you. Thanks, Dad, said Kushina with a smile. However, I must admit that I am scared. Dad, I saw one person almost and another one ked. Don't worry, I heard everything that Chu said to you and believe me, when we finish our training, he will be the one hiding in fear, said Naruto as Kushina looked up at him. You're going to train me? Asked Kushina as Naruto nodded. That is if you want me to train you, and don't worry, your mother will do your medical training when I have to attend meetings so you will not fall behind on your medical training. That's great, but what about Fugaku and Liz? Asked Kushina. Believe me, Fugaku will be in his own training problems with Uncle Sasuke, and Liz can do some training under her mother or Neji when he returns home, said Naruto. Come on, let's gather your things and head home. Outside the sand village. You all did well, but did you complete your side of the mission? Said Haruka as he and his 3 genin walked behind him. Yes, Sensei, said Reiji. We have learned much about them. There are 4 great ninja nations. The sand, the leaf, the rock and the lightning. The most powerful of these is the leaf and their ally, the sand, said Aika. The leaf village apparently just suffered a clan war between the majority of the clans and one smaller clan. The 3 most powerful clans inside the leaf village are the Uchiha, the Hyuga, and the Namikas. The Uchiha clan has their Sharingan eye, however, this Fugaku Uchiha apparently has a subgroup of the Sharingan called the Black Sharingan. If one looks into his eyes, he can transport them into a world where he controls everything. Now, the Hyuga have an eye-based bloodline limit called the Byakugan, and the Namikas apparently have the demon foxes behind them, said Bunker. Very well done, Bunker, but you still failed your part of the mission. You were supposed to move on to the finals as well, said Haruka as Bunker fell to his knees and knelt down before his sensei. I know, I only wished to pass on the information before my punishment, said Bunker before looking up at Reiji. Will you do it? Very well, said Reiji as he pulled out his sword. He rested it on his teammate's end before raising it over his head. You know that the ice is unforgiving. It doesn't tolerate the weak and you have proven yourself weak by failing your task. May the heavens show you the mercy that the ice did not. Back in the sand village. Neji sat next to his son's bed in the hospital room. Suddenly, the door opened and in walked Naruto. How is he? He is better than he was, said Neji, still looking at his son. They say he should be up and about tomorrow. So, do you mind if we wait until tomorrow to leave? I'm sorry, but we can't. You and your son will stay here. The rest of us will be leaving within the hour, said Naruto as Neji looked up at him. Why so soon? Said Neji. It is tradition to have a day of rest before heading home. Neji, I hate to tell you like this, but the reason we are heading home so soon is because Tsunade's last night, said Naruto as Neji lowered his head. Don't worry, I will tell Tenten what happened. She will know before you get there, said Neji. I asked to use a messenger hawk to tell her what is happening. I didn't want her to freak out when we got back and she saw our son on a stretcher or something else. I can understand that. So, wait here until your son is ready to go and then head back to the village, said Naruto. Yes, sir. Now, will you please tell me about my students? How did they do? Asked Neji. They did well. Kushina and Fugaku are moving on, said Naruto. What about Liz? Neji asked. She did well, but Kushina beat her, said Naruto as Neji looked at him. So my students had to fight each other, said Neji. Yeah, But there isn't a chance of Fugaku and Kushina fighting until the finals, said Naruto as Neji looked at him. So, with you and Sakura training Kushina and Fugaku under his father's training, there is a very good chance of them going up against each other. Maybe, but first they have to deal with the others, and those ice ninjas are just scary. Fugaku beat one, but he spent 7 days being TD by Fugaku with his black Sharingan, said Naruto as Neji's eyes widened. 7 days. Kakashi could only deal with being in there for 72 hours and this kid lasted 4 days longer than him, said a stunned Neji as Naruto nodded his head. Now you see why I am worried about them, said Naruto. Yeah, said Neji as Naruto turned to leave. I hope he gets better soon, said Naruto as he left the room. Night had well since fallen over the Leaf Village as Sakura Namikaze leaned against the outer wall of the main gate, waiting for her husband and the rest of them to arrive. Excuses me, Mrs. Namikaze, but you can go home. I am sure that Lord Hokage wouldn't mind, said an Anbu. You know Shino, you can call me by my name, said Sakura as Shino raised his hand and removed his mask. Still, my point stands, Sakura. Naruto wouldn't mind if you waited for him back home, said Shino. He wouldn't mind, but I would, said Sakura as another Anbu appeared. What is it? Asked Shino, putting his mask back on. Captain, Lord Hokage and the rest of the genin are approaching, said the Anbu. Sakura straightened up as Naruto and the others appeared. Most of the genin were sound asleep from running an entire day non-stop, so they were being carried by their senseis or clones of their senseis. The only genin who wasn't asleep was Fugaku, and he looked tired as hell. I am back, Sakura-chan, said Naruto as he walked up with a sleeping Kushina on his back. I am glad, said Sakura as she kissed her husband. So how did our little girl do? She did great, she made it into the tournament, said Naruto as Kushina began to stir. Mom, is that you? Asked a very sleepy Kushina. Yeah, it's me. I heard that you made it into the finals, great job, said Sakura. Ah, Dad, I wanted to tell her that, yawned Kushina before falling asleep again. I think we need to get her home, said Naruto as Shino walked up. You head home, Lord Hokage. Me and my team will make sure that the genin make it home okay, said Shino. Thanks, Shino, said Naruto as the Anbu took the sleeping genin off the backs of the clones. A couple of minutes later, Naruto was laying Kushina in her bed as Sakura watched from the doorway. After closing the door, he looked at his wife. Sakura-chan, I am worried. Is it about the ice ninjas that Gaara wrote about in that letter? Asked Sakura. Yeah, they are all like Gaara was during our Chunin exams. One almost killed Haruaki by cutting off his head. The female one has a bloodline limit that gives her the ability to turn the water in her body to ice. Also, she can do that to anyone she touches. Ino said she froze Anko's hand to the bone, and if she hadn't reversed it, Anko wouldn't have a hand anymore. Fugaku beat one of them, but he spent 7 days being TD by Fugaku in Tsukuyomi before he gave in. That's very bad, but that isn't all of it. Something else is bugging you, I can feel it, said Sakura as Naruto looked down. Yes, before we left, Gaara told me about one of the sand teams that didn't make it through the first part. 2 of them were found to shreds and the third was found missing both of his arms and legs. He was alive only long enough to say 4 things, said Naruto. What did he say? Asked Sakura. Ice ninjas, demon fox, said Naruto as Sakura looked at him stunned. Are you saying that the ice ninjas have a demon fox? Asked Sakura as Naruto looked at her. I don't know. Kyuubi says no and that all demon foxes are loyal to us, but I am still worried, said Naruto. Kushina woke up the next morning to a bright sunny day, and if it had been a normal day she would have been happy, but not this day. She looked at her desk only to see the all-black clothing sitting on her chair. Slowly, she got up and put on the black shirt and pants, put her forehead protector on, and walked out of her room and toward the dining room. She found her brothers strangely calm and even her sister was acting strangely. Her mom was making breakfast, and everyone except her 65-year-old great-uncle was dressed in black. Altair, why aren't you ready to go? Asked Kushina as he looked up at her with his still blue eyes from the other side of his glasses. Well, young one, I just haven't put it on yet, said Altair. I was looking up some record in the old Liberty so I didn't want to get covered with dust. What were you looking up? Asked Kushina. I was working on my project, said Altair as Kushina nodded. So how is your family tree project going? Minuto asked. Fine, I have traced our clan members back to the founding of the village, said Altair as Sakura put the food down. Mom, where is Dad? Asked Kushina. As the current Hokage, he has to stand over Tsunde's body until she is placed into the ground, said Sakura as Altair stood up with the help of his cane and walked toward his room. A couple minutes later he came out dressed in black. After everyone was finished, they all left toward the Hokage monument and the huge gathering. As they approached they saw a huge line of people filing past an open casket with Tsunade laying in it. On the side closest to the mountain stood Naruto dressed in his full Hokage robes, including the hat, and behind him stood the council members with the head of the Hyuga Council standing in for Neji. As they approached, Kushina's sadness only seemed to grow. As she passed the coffin, she looked past the flowers gathered around it and looked upon the old woman she had considered her grandma lay there. Goodbye, Grandma Tsunade, whispered Kushina with tears in eyes. Bye, Grandma, said Saya out loud as she was being held by Sakura so that she could see her grandma one last time. After they did that, they joined the rest of the villagers gathered there. Kushina looked around and saw the Uchihas, minus Sasuke, who was standing next to her dad, and along with them she saw the rest of her friends gathered around the crowd. We all know why we are here. We are here to honor the passing of the fifth Hokage, Tsunade the Slug Sannin. She lived a good life and served her village and her people. We all have benefited from Tsunade's rule. She has made our village's hospital and medical ninjas the best in the world. I am sure that most of our current ninjas are alive because of Tsunade. She and her teammates became 3 of the most powerful ninjas ever to come from our village. They were given the title Sannin because of their SKS. She was the last of the Sannin to leave this world. Now, by her wish, we are burying her inside the Hokage moment so that she can rest next to her grandfather the first Hokage and grand-uncle the second Hokage, said Naruto as he walked forward and placed his hand onto the side of the mountain. Everyone watched as a small door opened in the rock face. As he did, 6 Anbu appeared next to the coffin, and they slowly closed the coffin before picking it up. Everyone watched as they walked in step into the mountain. After a few minutes, they walked out and Naruto bowed his head before running through hand signs, and then the door into the mountain closed. After that everyone started to leave as Kushina walked up to her father. So Dad, what are we going to do now? Asked Kushina. Well, I have to do something in the office, then I will be home for lunch, then we'll start your training, said Naruto as Kushina smiled before she walked away. Then Naruto disappeared in a flash of light and reappeared in his office. So what did you learn? Naruto looked at his uncle standing there with a scroll in his hands. I learned a lot, said Altair as he rolled out the old scroll onto the desk. This is the oldest map in our clan's records. It goes back to 257 years before the founding of the village. It shows a path through the southern ice sheet. But that is impassable. Everyone who has gone in there has never come back, said Naruto. I know, I was just as surprised as you, nephew, but if I had learned anything from my years looking into the past that things are not permitted, said Altair as he pointed at the open water surrounded by ice. See, according to this, there once was an open water way through the ice into a small open ocean, and on the other side of that ocean is a small nation, the village hidden in the ice. Still, if they have been sealed up for almost 260 years, how can they still be around without outside trade? No one nation can produce everything their population needs. How can they grow food in a nation entirety surrounded by ice? Asked Naruto. I can't answer that question. I can only tell you what the map tells me. This ice nation is the oldest ninja nation still around, said Altair as he rolled up the scroll. Thanks for the information, said Naruto as his uncle disappeared in a flash followed soon after by him. In the ice village. Report, ordered the man behind a large desk. Mission complete. We have gathered information and 2 out of the 3 genin have made it into the finals, said Haruka as he and his 2 genin knelt before their cage. So, anything important? Yes, father, said Reiji as he looked up. The Hokage of the Leaf Village apparently has the 9-tailed fox. Really? That is interesting, said a new voice as an all-black fox with red eyes appeared next to the desk. I am glad you agree, said the cage. Shut up, you foolish human, snapped the fox before looking at Reiji. There is something else, isn't there, human? Yes, The Hokage's daughter is in the tournament, and she has a fox as well. I believe that it is the daughter of the demon lord himself, said Reiji. I see. This couldn't be better for my lord if he asked for it. Reiji of the ice, you will fight the daughter of the Hokage, said the fox. And when you do, that is when you will call me out. I understand, but I may not fight her, she has to make it to the finals first and she is weak, said Reiji. I see. No matter, when you reach the finals, you will call us, but first we will take you into our world to be trained, said the fox as Reiji bowed his head. I am honored to have this chance, said Reiji. You should be, USC, said the fox before Reiji and the fox disappeared. Back in the Namika's household, Sakura was cooking once again, only this time it was Ramon as all the kids and Naruto sat waiting for it. I swear, sometimes I think Naruto's love of this food is genetic, thought Sakura as she put the food down and watched as the food was inhaled. So, Dad, how are we going to do my training for the tournament? Asked Kushina as Sakura sat down at the table as well. I am sorry, but the council will not let me or your mother take a month off to train you, said Naruto as Kushina lowered her head. I understand, said Kushina. So we are cutting your training up, said Sakura. I will teach you for 2 weeks from home and even a little bit at the hospital. Then I will finish your training off, said Naruto. Dad, when you get off work you can still help me train, said Kushina as Naruto laughed. Kushina, believe me, your mother's training will make you so tired that you won't have the energy to do any training with me, said Naruto. Meanwhile at the Uchiha compound, Fugaku was already doing some personal training in the indoor field. So, Sasuke, how do you want to do this? Asked Ino as she watched her son practice through the light screen. Well, Hanabi cleared my schedule for me, so I can train him for the entire month, but Liss's Sharingan just reached level 2 and that is a critical stage in the development of the Sharingan Eye. With the right attention, she can have a level 3 Sharingan in less than 2 years. If she doesn't get the training she may never get the 3rd level of the Sharingan, said Sasuke. So tell me what I have to do to train her, said Ino as Sasuke shook his head. I am afraid it doesn't work that way, Ino. It is almost impossible for someone to get the level 3 Sharingan without being taught by someone with a level 3 Sharingan, said Sasuke as Ino looked at him. Then how did you get it? Asked Ino as Sasuke placed his hand on the back of his N. The chakra from the curse seal was the tool I needed to unlock the level 3 without a master, and it's probably the only good thing to ever come out of that seal, said Sasuke. Then there is only one option left, said Ino as Sasuke looked at her. You will just have to take both of them on your little training trip of yours. That could work, said Sasuke. I can train them both at the same time. Fugaku can have someone else to practice his sword work and I can help Liss with her Sharingan. Good. However, I don't want you teaching them any more A-ranked Eustace or the ones you learned from Orochimaru. You are already in hot water for teaching Liss the Chidori without telling me, said Ino as she glared at Sasuke. What can I say? She begged me to teach it to her and I just couldn't say no to her, said Sasuke as Ino nodded her head. I figured that is what happened, but don't let her or Fugaku talk you into those Eustace again or you will be sleeping on the couch for a month. Understand? Understood, said Sasuke with a grin before kissing his wife. Those two are going to have fun in the morning. Fugaku, Liss and Sasuke were already out the western gate by sunrise. Dad, why do I have to come along? Asked Liss through a yawn. Like I said, your Sharingan needs training and you need to get stronger for the next tournament or mission, said Sasuke. Besides, I want to spend some time you two. Okay then, will you at least tell us where we are going? Asked Liss. We are going to my favorite place to train. In fact, this is the place I trained Minuto for his Genin exams, said Sasuke as a large rocky area appeared over the horizon. Meanwhile, Kushina was following her mother down the hallway of the village's main hospital. Now listen, Kushina, this morning you are simply going to read about different medical Eustace and then in the afternoon we will work on chakra growth and strength, said Sakura as they walked into the main hospital records filled with hundreds of different medical books. Is there anything I need to focus on? Asked Kushina as she watched her mother walk up to the books and pulled a very large book off the shelf. This, said Sakura as she placed the book on one of the many desks. Treatment of Ice-Based Eustace Part 1, said Kushina as she read the TLE. Now, I will be in my office and doing some rounds and I will be back in an hour to help you out, said Sakura with a smile as Kushina sat down and started reading. Meanwhile, Liz and Fugaku had their backs against each other with their swords out. Do you see anything? Asked Liz as her Sharingan eyes watched for any signs of her father from the rocks. No, said Fugaku as he looked on his side of the rocks and still saw nothing. Where is he? Asked Liz as she pulled her sword closer to her body. Suddenly 2 kunais came flying overhead. Liz looked up and watched as the second kunai knocked the first, so it was now pointed at the ground. Suddenly, that single kunai multiplied into dozens. Incoming! Yelled Fugaku as he and Liz ran down one of the paths through the rocks. As Fugaku ran, 2 of the rocks he was near exploded, sending red paint over both young Uchihas. You two need to react faster, said Sasuke as he appeared on top of a nearby rock. I didn't even see any seals on those rocks, said Liz as she whipped the paint from her face. You can't rely on your eyes all the time, Liz, said Fugaku. I had to deal with not being able to use my Sharingan. We can't rely on them all the time. Right, your eyes are tools but they shouldn't be what you rely on for everything, said Sasuke as he pulled 2 blindfolds out of his weapon pouch. Put these on. I want you to learn how to see without seeing. Yes, father, said Liz as she put on the blindfold followed by Fugaku. Now, I want you two to find me, said Sasuke. Meanwhile, Kushina was on chapter 3 when her mother walked back in dressed in her traditional white lab coat. So what have you learned? I learned how to treat cuts and SS that come from ice-based attacks and frostbite, said Kushina. Good, but now let's do some work in the field, said Sakura as Kushina smiled before walked out of the Liberty. We are in luck, a couple of Chunin went a little too hard in their training exercise and one has a small puncture wound from an ice-based jutsu and another with frostbite. I hope I do okay, said Kushina as they stopped in front of a door. Don't worry, you'll do fine and I will be here to help you, said Sakura as she opened the door to a Chunin with a small icicle coming out of his leg. Finally you're here. I thought you wouldn't get here. Now get this thing out of me, yelled the Chunin as Kushina walked forward. What are you doing, little girl? Treating you, you idiot, so shut up so that I can inspect the wound, said Kushina as he shut up. Kushina reached into her pouch and pulled out a kunai and used a jutsu to heat it up. Then she cut the part of the ice spear sticking out of the body. Very good, Kushina, now what? Asked Sakura. I use my chakra to heat up the ice and then use the water from the ice to heal the wound, said Kushina as Sakura nodded her head and watched with a smile as her daughter treated the injury. Good, now let's move on to frostbite, said Sakura as Kushina looked at the Chunin and saw that some of the skin was coming off his fingers. Well, this is simple. I apply chakra to the frostbite and tell him he has to keep it covered and warm, said Kushina as the Chunin just sat there as Kushina treated the injury. Very good, said Sakura before looking at the Chunin. You are free to go. With that, the Chunin left. Let's get an early lunch and then we go do some more physical training. Sounds great to me, said Kushina. Great, just great, said Liz as she tried to listen to the sound of the wind going through the rocks trying to find her dad. Shut up, Liz, said Fugaku as he tried to listen as well. They really need to work on this, thought Sasuke as he sat on a rock just a few feet away from his kids eating his lunch. At the Hokage's office, Naruto sat looking at his cousin and head of the Assassinate Offspy Corps, Rick Uzumaki. Sir, I refuse to teach Chu Akamaiki. You won't be, he is being trained by his clan, said Naruto. However, I have a mission for you. Sir, said Rick as Naruto looked at him. Rick, I thought we have been through already, call me by my name, we are cousins, said Naruto. Well Naruto, I can't leave, Hinura could give birth at any time, said Rick as Naruto looked down. Rick, normally I wouldn't send you out, but I have no choice here. I need you to talk to your spy network and tell them to be on alert on anything about the Ice Village, said Naruto as Rick looked at him. You are really worried about this village, said Rick. You have no idea, said Naruto. Alright, if I hurry I could be back in a day from my closest contact and from there it can be spread down the line. Sorry about this, said Naruto as Rick turned to leave. I understand, cousin, said Rick as he disappeared as the head of the council Inoki Yamanaka walked into the room. What can I do for you, Inoki? Asked Naruto as Inoki walked over and sat down. I came to ask you about the Ice Village. said Inoki as a stunned look crossed Naruto's face. How do you know about that? I was going to wait till the council meeting next week to tell you guys about that, asked Naruto. I may be old, but I still get around. My grandkids told me about what happened, said Inoki. Truth be told, we don't know much. An old map that my uncle found in my clan's records had the ice villages being located behind the southern ice sheet, said Naruto as Inoki's eyes widened. Are you serious? Asked Inoki. Yes, said Naruto. I see, said Inoki before he looked at the ground. Naruto, there are other reasons I came here. I am going to step down from the council. I understand you're getting older. So, what do you think is going to happen next in our political situations? Asked Naruto. I was going to propose that we have Kiba Inuzuka take my spot, said Inoki. I can live dealing with Dog Boy, said Naruto with a grin. Good, said Inoki as he stood up to leave. Naruto, there is one other thing that has most of the council worried. What? Naruto asked. Alright Kushina, let's begin your training for real, said Sakura as she and her daughter stood in the outdoor training field of their home. First, we are going to focus on your first match, Chu. Now your father told me what he said to you and don't worry, by the time we're done, he won't be able to stop you. Now let's work on some genjutsu. You said that Chu couldn't break them, right? Yeah, but the one he was up against, the other ninja couldn't move or else it would fall apart, said Kushina. Yes, that means if you can pull one off and still can move you will have the advantage, said Sakura. Now let's begin. I wonder how much longer they are going to be, thought Sasuke as he finished his lunch as the wind started to pick up. Sasuke raised his eyebrow as he watched Lycia twitch. I think she may be onto me. I hear what sounds like cloths flapping in the wind but where, thought Lycia as she tried to listen for it again and then she heard it again. There, with that she rested her sword on her dad's shoulder. Good job Lycia, said Sasuke as she pulled off her mask and smiled. Have some lunch while we wait for your brother to put it all together. Later that night, after everything was done and the Namikaze kids were already asleep, Naruto and Sakura were sitting at the kitchen table. So, how did she do today? Great, she already has one genjutsu down and tomorrow we will work on some more before going on to speed and strength, said Sakura. I heard that you sent Rick on a mission even though his wife could give birth at any time. I had no choice, I need information about the ice, said Naruto. I understand, said Sakura. Yeah, two other things happened as well, said Naruto as Sakura looked at her husband. What? Well, Inoki is stepping down from the council. He wants Kiba to take his place, said Naruto. Kiba, head of the council, that is a scary thought, said Sakura with a grin. Let's just hope Hinata can keep him under control. Yeah, said Naruto. Well, that is one. What was the second thing? Asked Sakura as Naruto looked at her before looking at the table. They want me to name the next Hokage, said Naruto as Sakura's eyes widened. What? You're only 33 years old. The third didn't retire till he was 50 and then he came back after your dad's, said Sakura. That is what I said, but they are worried about the ice doing something like the sound did. They don't want to pick another Hokage during a time of war, said Naruto. Now I don't have to tell the village, but I will have to tell the council and the person I pick who is going to be the Hokage after I am gone. Who are you going to pick? Asked Sakura. I don't know, said Naruto. Later that night when everyone else was asleep, Fox Sakura walked down the darkened hallways toward Kushina's room. She used one of her 8 tails to open the door. She walked up to the sleeping girl. Kushina, time to wake up, said Sakura. Just 5 more minutes, groaned Kushina. No, not 5 minutes, wake up, ordered Sakura as Kushina sat up. What is it, Sakura? You and your brothers and sister are going to the pass, so get ready, said Sakura as Kushina's eyes shot wide open. You're serious? Tonight is that time when we go into the pass for an hour and meet Grandma and Grandpa? Asked Kushina. Yeah, but we have to hurry. Get dressed while I get your brothers up, said Sakura. I will get Sire up. Good, you leave in 5 minutes, said Sakura. Mom, I always wondered, how does this work? How do you know that it's time? Asked Kushina. Simply put, my past self sends a message to me asking permission to pull someone out of our time and transplant them into the past for a bit, said Sakura before she walked out the door. A few minutes later, all four Namika's kids stood in the living room. Now remember, you can't tell anyone about what is happening now, said Kyubi. You can't tell Tsunade that she just or about the ice or Itachi. We understand, said Kushina as she picked up Saya. Alright, then, said Sakura as suddenly the scenery changed and the four Namikas found themselves looking at 6 people standing in the living room. Kushina recognized the younger version of her parents. On the right side of the room stood a man who looked just like Naruto. He was wearing a jacket similar to Naruto but white with red flames instead of black and orange. Next to him stood a red-haired woman wearing a black top, gray shorts and a brown half-cape. Grandma Kushina and Grandpa Minato Namikas, thought Kushina as she looked at the other couple. They were both dressed in regular Junin outfits. The man had black hair and the woman had pink hair just like her mother. Grandma Kririse and Grandpa Sakamura Haruno. X. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.